All right.
I want to make the broken now.
Okay, so we left off right at the top of the Amid again, right? Did we? What's today's daf? Lamed Vav.
Yes.
Tomorrow's daf, I tell you, tomorrow's daf is Gishmak. Look covered the Marchuk bris. It should be B'Shot Torah, right? Mazel tov first. I didn't give you.
I was gonna say Marchuk looks dressed already for
Friday.
breakfast. Look at him, he's ready to
No,
roll.
but tomorrow night's daf for us is Friday. It's just he's not making the bris because you have to wait till
Zevi's
day.
on tonight. Look at this.
Let me tell you, tomorrow night's daf is Azak Gishmak daf. Let me tell you, like a lot of.
What about today's daf? Is today's daf good?
It'd be a schutz for you guys to do shear by the bris on Friday. Enough guys work locally.
Well, you didn't write down what you're serving, so don't put the horse.
You're gonna have to trust me, Aaron.
Don't put the cart before the horse, okay? Okay.
You guys come, we'll make it special.
Aaron, Aaron Kaplan, he's dressed like this because he's jealous of his own picture. He's such a
That's great. That's such a great line, by
the way.
Very good.
Anyway, so yes, tomorrow night's Benzo. Today's daf is not why. David, you say today. Tomorrow's daf is really Gishmak.
Today's daf is nothing to write home about.
No. I'm not saying. I'm not trying to. I'm lichvish as a malka imi babayis over here. I'm not trying to diss today's daf, but tomorrow's daf has a lot of interesting things. Today's daf is also the cheilev that we're dealing with is also Gishmak cheilev. Okay, so on that note, so basically we're handling the sugya. How's that for yeshivish? Yeah. So we're talking about is the kohen. So if a kohen is not allowed to give hana to somebody, to Yisrael, so is he allowed to bring makav or korban on his behalf or not? So the shaila is the kohen a shliach of hashem, in which case he could bring a korban on behalf of somebody who he has a nether against, or is he the shliach for the yid, in which case he can't. Right? So then we said that there's this can you bring a korban along the same lines? Can somebody bring a korban on behalf of somebody else if the guy didn't give him permission? Right? Meaning I want to, tonight I have Aaron's wife to use instead of Naftali.
okay.
Right? Naftali doesn't get candy every night, by the way. You just letting you know.
I don't get candy.
It's not really the same if it's not Naftali, but whatever.
That's true. Okay, we'll go back to Naftali.
But you can stay with Aaron. It's okay.
We'll go to Naftali. Okay, so if I decide to bring my, it's probably the opposite. Naftali's being makav korban for me. All right, we'll go with the reality. Okay. I probably need the chet by getting on his nerves. So Mamela, now I need to bring a korban, and Naftali's bringing it for me. Okay. So he's bringing a korban for me on my behalf. So can he do it without my knowledge? So Rabbi Yochanan wanted to bring a raya that you see that a father can bring korbanos on behalf of his kids. Right? That was his main point. If you see a father can bring korbanos on behalf of his kids, meaning his kids less than bar and bas mitzvah, they don't have das. Since they don't have das, that must be a raya that you can bring korbanos on behalf of somebody, even if he didn't tell you to do it, right? That's pretty pashut. The chiddush that we should have said yesterday, maybe I don't think we said it, is that it's a pashut, the difference. How do you bring a raya from bringing a korban on behalf of kids if the kids you didn't have a choice? There is no choice, right? The kid needs to bring a korban. He's less than bar bas mitzvah. Of course, it's going to work.
Why would he? Why does he have to bring a korban?
If he became tummy, let's say he became tummy, so he's tummy. He has a tumah zav. It could have gonorrhea, and then we call zav non gonorrhea, right? Whatever gonorrhea is, whatever. Saying
but he has no mitzvahs,
right? But for tumah, this is why I understand it. That this bothered me too. This kasha, and the way I'm understanding it, which could be wrong, right? Is that the cotton will have tumah. And let's say a girl under bas mitzvah, which the Gemara said yesterday, can't have a baby. But let's say she has a baby with the metzias nowadays, and she, in order for her to become tar, she needs to bring a korban. So the
Yeah, but
father.
I hate to break this to you, Chiak, we don't have a basic mikdash nowadays.
That's
You're telling me
true.
the metzora has changed. We don't have that metzora has also changed.
You think it's totally Zebazeh?
or Rabim, that also changed.
You think it could? You wonder if it's totally Zebazeh? Maybe. I don't know how. That would require a real shtickle Torah. But okay, but I'm just that's what I thought. Let's say I don't know, or maybe she had a miscarriage, something like that. That's what I thought. Either way, but the point is that how you bring a raya from a father bringing on behalf of a katan and a katana, there is no choice. That doesn't mean that Naftali can go bring a korban for me. We have a perfect choice. I can bring it myself. Naftali thinks I can't bring it myself, but I can bring it myself. But he doesn't. But he wants to do it on my behalf. So so we had brought a raya from Rabbi Yochanan like that. Okay, now the Gemara continues asking kashas on it. It's on the top of the Amid. Masiv Rav Shimi Barabba. So Rav Shimi Barabba asked on this din. Yeah, Im Hayakoyin, if the one who made a neder that he's not allowed to give benefit, like the case we've been saying, right? Yizroik alav dam chatasai, he's allowed to be zayrik the dam of the korban chatas of the Yisrael, the dam ashamai, and the dam of asham. So that's chatas and asham is regular korbanos. We had said that maybe it's only mechusar kapara, right? We had said it's mechusar kapara, right? Mechusar, what's the asham? Mechusar kapara, is that what it is? Meaning only when somebody is missing kapara, like after the 7 clean days, they need to bring a korban. So that's when you're allowed to bring it on their behalf. But stama korban you can't. But you see from this brisa that any korban you can bring on somebody's behalf, right? So mamela, the kohen must be the shliach of hashem. So when it answers dam chatas sham metzora v'dam asham sham metzora, when it says chatas and asham here, it doesn't mean your standard chatas and asham, right? It says this should be the Torah of metzora, bein gadol, bein katan. Whether it's a gadol, whether it's a katan, meaning the zois tia Torah of metzora is talking about whether it's a gadol or a katan, right? So once you, like we said yesterday, once you say that you're allowed to bring a korban on behalf of somebody who's less than bar mitzvah or less than bas mitzvah, that means they don't have das. So then we know that a korban metzora, yes, you could bring on behalf of somebody else, but that's it. Nothing more than that. Yeah, fine. So then the Gemara asks another kasha. Tanan hakehanim shepigglu b'mikdash. Another strange case. Kehanim that did piggul. So piggul is when the kohen's bringing the korban and he decides that normally you have a korban that has to be eaten within a shlamim, at least is 2 days and 1 night, or you have other korbanos that have to be eaten 1 night, and you think in your head that you're going to make sure not to eat it within that time, so that's called piggul, and it's possible. So let's say a kohen does it on behalf of Yisrael, and he does the piggul thing. Does he have to pay back the Yisrael because he just made the korban passuk, right? He made the korban passuk. So can he? So is he chayiv to pay for it? So Tanan hakehanim shepigglu b'mikdash, kehanim that made piggul in the base of mikdash mazidin chayav, and if they did it on purpose, and then they're chayiv to pay back the korban. Yeah. Pashaygig and patturin. But if they did piggul b'shaygig, then they're pattur. Now, how do you have piggul b'shaygig? How do you get piggul b'shaygig?
It's spaced out.
Well, you have to have in your head. Piggul's only in your head, not nicer as if you physically.
No, meaning the kohen lost his train of thought while he was doing the job.
Yeah, but his train of thought is that he's going to eat it outside of the proper time.
Or right.
So, but that's not a space out. I think the only way it has to be is that he didn't know of the bedafka is the first case. Then of course he has to pay back the Yisrael. Hashaygig and patturin. What is shaygig? The chayra, I don't know. I saw this somewhere. What?
You didn't know the halacha?
Must be. Didn't know the halacha. How else you get a guy doing piggul b'shaygig?
Trained the kahanim?
So there was a kohen there that didn't know the halacha?
that kasha is reserved for a
How did he get through the doors?
Yes, there's a kohen. How did a kohen get through the door? I'm not well, you're right. How did a kohen get through the doors? He doesn't know there's such a thing as piggul. He was fresh on the job. I don't know.
I mean, clearly he never did a daf because everyone who did the daf knows piggul.
Correct. So I don't know how would that how do you get that? Right? How do you get? I mean, how else? I think I saw it somewhere that's what it is. Shoygig.
Why can't he have it b'shoygig?
How is he?
Aaron, explain the case.
I'll give you the case.
Give us a
Here we go.
Scherzer case.
I'm
With the
gonna give you
story.
the
1
case.
second. It has to come with the story.
Yeah,
He's
so
doing a
Cohen
regular.
Scherzer.
He's
Cohen
doing a
Max
regular
Scherzer.
korban. He's doing a regular korban, right? He knows it has to be Bisman Monday. While he's doing it, one of his friends says, "Hey, Beryl, where you going for yeshiva week?" He says, "Oh, yeshiva week next Tuesday." And right away he starts thinking next Tuesday. He's eating the korban next Tuesday. It was totally shoygig. He had all the kavanas.
You mean he thought in his head that I need meat for my yeshiva week?
Yeah,
so I'm gonna
something
take
like
this
that.
meat
Yeah,
with
he
me?
was fine till this guy asked him in the middle what he's doing for yeshiva week.
Works.
Okay.
Well, he got a text in the
Aaron
middle.
Zweig is masking. Aaron Zweig is masking back here.
Okay.
But Lamaisa, he was spaced out.
But Byron,
That's
he
like
didn't
you
want to be
said.
embarrassed. He had to say he was
If you're
in the
keeping your
football.
train of thought, then you're not going to mess
I
it
hear.
up.
I hear. Okay, maybe you think that's I don't know. Okay, you think that's
Isn't
John?
piggul also happens if he, let's say he's doing a chatas and he thinks it's a shlamim, he
mean
That's not piggul.
switches
That's
in
not
middle,
piggul.
How much das do they need when they read from? But
You'd
Clearly, they
hope a
don't have
lot.
too much dance, right?
Right.
Okay, I don't know. I hear. All right, fine. So that's what you're saying. But no, because I wanted to say that if it's, I didn't want to say whatever I saw that's saying that the guy didn't know the halacha. If that's the case, Omer mutter is a big shiloh whether that's shoygig. If somebody just doesn't know the halacha, that's not pashut that's considered shoygig. So you're helping me out here with your pshat because otherwise my pshat has a big kasha, right? Okay. Anyways, so it says that the kaihanim that do piggles in the base of they do it on purpose, they're chayiv. They do it by mistake, they're pattur. Ella piggul on piggul, right? But it's still piggul, meaning even though they did it b'shoygig, piggul is piggul, right? But the meaning the korban's no good, but they don't have to pay for it. Okay, so now, so if you say the kaihanim are shluchim of the shemayim, piggul and piggul, then we understand that it's piggul. But if you say these kaihanim are shluchim, meaning the Yisrael, the shliach of the Yisrael, and my piggul and piggul, why is there piggul? Lemalei shlicha shavisech litkuni v'loy lavsi. I made you a shliach to fix me, to bring a korban on my behalf. I didn't make you a shliach to mess me up, right? There's a concept like that. We've had it. We had it before. What did we have it before? No, it says kiddushin, but I thought we had it in ksubas maybe. Meaning you could say,
Aren't you always taking that chance when you make a shliach? If you don't do it yourself, you're always taking a chance it might not be done to your satisfaction.
Right, and then the Gemara is saying you could tell that guy, hey, you have no right to mess me up because I made you a shliach to do this job. You didn't do that job. That's not my problem.
We have it with taking off truma or something.
We had it yesterday about the guy said, well, you didn't like that Gemara, but he's being kind and then he's going to be the one over on Meila.
No,
Not that.
Taking off something he took off too much or he took off too little.
Oh, by truma.
Right.
Oh, very good. I think that's what we had. If a guy takes off too much truma, they didn't say that. If he makes a shliach and he took off too much,
We got something like that.
what?
You have a different svar there. It's not this svar.
Wasn't
This
this
svar is a
far?
lot. We definitely had this svar somewhere.
Yeah. Anyway,
That was
okay.
Terabay and Yafa. That's a drush by Truma.
Yeah, I hear. Anyway, so that's the Gemara. Whatever it is, you see from the Gemara that it has to be that the shluchei of the hashem. So Gemara says,
You have to pay them. You don't pay them a service
well,
fee.
you get truma. They get to get truma.
When you bring
That's
a
their first.
korban, that day, you're not paying anything extra.
Under the table. They get
the skins.
When you come to the base of English, you better bring some true,
Yeah,
if you want to
want.
come to the line, right? I think that'd be a good business decision.
Well, that's weiter in the daf actually. Who
Seems
gets
a
the
little bit
rights?
more.
You see that there is such a thing as toivas hano. That's the end of the daf. We'll wait for that for the end of the daf.
Yeah,
Okay. Right? Who gets the toivas hano, which seemed to be a serious thing. So, anyways, the Gemara answers, Amri Shani Gabi piggul. No, piggul's different. No kashas from piggul. Damakra lo yichashiv loy mikol makam. When it says lo yichashiv loy, it's not going to be chashiv to him. So mikol makam, it means any type of machshava ra is out. Even if theoretically the guy could tell him, I didn't make you a shliach to be my kain and batch my korban, but it doesn't make a difference because from lo yichashiv loy, it's not chashiv to him. We're saying that it includes any psul machshava. Doesn't make a difference. The kain's machshava passes it, and it doesn't make a difference if it was shaygeg, mazid, if he was allowed, he wasn't allowed. When there's a pasul machshava from the kain, that's it. You're done. Fine. Okay. Gufa. Now. So that was the first part of the sugya. Then we said again, we already discussed in the beginning of the daf, but let's just again reiterate. The Rabbi Yochanan had this chiddush that you're allowed to bring a korban on somebody else's behalf if he doesn't have das, right? Because, and the raya is that you could bring a korban on behalf of the kids. So, gufa, right? Gufa means it's a quote from a previous Gemara. Das. Everybody needs das, meaning you need to have das of the baal, of the owner. Somebody that's mechusar kapara, like zav, zava, metzora, those type of things, that doesn't need das. Adam maybe korban albanav, albanois of a katanim, because we know that a person could bring a korban on behalf of his kids. Okay, so the Gemara asks the kasha, yavi adam chatas cheilev achaveiroi. A person should be able to bring a chatas cheilev. Chatas cheilev means to eat the fats, right? In every animal you have cheilev and you have shumah, right? That's where all the hak comes from with the people doing what do you call nikur? Did they do a good nikur? Did they not do it? So nikur is to take away the cheilev from the shuman. Problem is that cheilev and shuman look exactly the same, as far as I know, at least my limited knowledge of it, right? So memela, it's the number one. It seems like it's the number one chatas that's brought is cheilev. That's why we call it chatas cheilev, but it just means any sort of chatas, right? Because it was very easy to be over on chatas cheilev. So anyway, so the Gemara is saying if that's the case, a person should be able to bring a chatas cheilev. Shekain adam maybe al ishtay shaita, right? That a person could bring a korban for his wife that became a shaita. Karev Yehuda, like Yehuda. Now that case is, we had it yesterday, is where a woman gives birth, and I guess she had PPD, right? Postpartum depression, which can sometimes women get a drastic case of it, and they're crazy, and then they can go back to being healthy again. You know, Bez Hashem they do, but it can happen. So that's what this sounds like to me, right? But the guy brings the korban on behalf of his wife. Otherwise she's tamei. She can't eat. She can't eat korbanos. She can't eat, not korbanos anyways, but kodshim, whatever it is. Shum, I don't know if it's a kain. Either way, so a person could bring on behalf of his ishtay shaita. Alama, so if that's the case, Alama Amar Rabbi Lazar, hifrish chatas cheilev achaveiroi. So if somebody brings a chatas cheilev from his friend, lo yasa klum, he didn't do anything. Meaning the Gemara is asking, why is Rabbi Lazar saying that he can't bring the korban on behalf of his friend if a husband could bring a korban on behalf of his wife who's a shaita? Right? So the Gemara says, no, you can't bring a raya from the wife that's a shaita. Ishtay shaita hechidami. What's the case of a wife that's a shaita? Ida achla kishehi shaita. If she ate the cheilev when she was a shaita, la bas korban. She's not mechuyev to bring a korban because she was a shaita, right? Ida achla kishehi pikachas. If she ate it when she was pikachas, means she was smart or whatever, healthy, finished tatis, and then she became a shaita. If somebody ate cheilev, a hifrish korban, and then he separated a korban, v'nishtata, and then he became a shaita, which then means that the korban becomes pasul, because a shaita can't bring a korban. V'chazar v'nishtava, and then he went back and became healthy, right? Another one, you see v'nishtata, v'nishtafa. Right, just one change of the letter there to throw you off in the Darim, right? V'nishtata is v'shaita, v'chazav v'nishtafa, right? And then he went back and became healthy. Pasal ha'il v'nitcha yitcha. Since once this is called dichui, right? Yesh dichui etzel mitzvahs, which is a whole machlokes. But the Gemara is saying here that even the person ate the cheilev when they were healthy, then they became a shaita. And then they became better again, so they became pattur in the interim. So once they became pattur, it sticks with them. So that would be the case of so that meaning the case of chatas can't be talking about a regular. What would be the case? It can't be a regular case of a wife becoming a shaitan, right? So, anyways, so therefore there's no raya. There's no raya. So it's not a kasha or belazar. You want to ask, okay, so if that's the case, a person should be able to bring a korban pesach for his friend without his friend's knowledge. And we know that the din is that a korban pesach, everybody has to be part of a chabura, right? You can't, and I mean, what?
That's just for a different reason. It doesn't.
Right, but here he's saying so. That's sort of the kasha. So because a person could bring up for his kids. If somebody separates a korban pesach for his friend, he didn't do anything, right? But why can't you do it? If you're saying that you can do it for the kids, you should be able to do it for the korban pesach too.
Is it included in this that the minui should be
the min as opposed as
it's
the
only
opposed
shachud
to bringing it?
Can he be memane chaveroi shaloi midatoi? Is that part of the kasha?
That's
Besides
what
for
it's
bringing the
saying he
carbon.
could do. That's what it's saying he could do.
Don't you have to do that? Don't you have to
two
make
parts.
him part
It's
of
not
the...
just bringing a carbon for him. It's being memane him and then bringing the carbon.
Yeah.
I would think, but Ada, you're right. So maybe the minoi doesn't work, but okay, yeah, I think so. So anyway, so Gemara answers, Amar Reb Zera, sell the base of us. That's the passuk, that it's sell the base of us. You need a lamb for every house, for every father's house, right? That's how we know that the korban pesach has a special din that everybody has to be part of a base of us, right? So that's lav doiraisa. That's not a doiraisa requirement. It's the rabbanon requirement, and therefore kids don't have this issue. The korban can be brought on behalf of kids. The korban pesach, they don't have to keep this because it's the rabbanon, right? So that's Torah, they don't need him. What are you saying?
It's partial. I mean, he has a chabura 10 families, Kanara, and there's Kanara 95 kids in the 10 families. So the guy who's the gaba, who's making the deal with everything. So he has to have a list of everybody's children and it's.
Byron, now that you mention it, I'll take 10 pounds of razavu, please.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Holy raspberry.
What is he ordering?
It was gaburu. Jack. You missed that one. Come on.
No, yeah, sorry, I didn't get it. Sorry. Okay. Yeah.
He can't even think about matzahs. They'll become chametz sitting next to Aaron's wife. Mamish have machshava about the matzahs.
Correct. That's piggul. It's piggul in that. So Gemara asks, the Gemara brings a raya, umimai, and how do you know that this is true? Right? That meaning ketanim are not mechuyev to be part of the chabura. We had this in Pesachim, at least that much I remember. There's a Pesach, right? He says to his kids, I'm going to shech the korban Pesach, al misha yala michem rishon yerushalyim. Whoever gets to Yerushalayim first, right? So kivan shehichnes rishon roisha beruba, since the first guy
sweepstakes.
It's exactly what he's trying to do. Yeah, listen, I try this with my kids at the first one out of the house, but it doesn't go. Whatever. Yeah, they don't even call me, but they don't even listen. But anyway, so Kivan, this guy's trying the same thing. So Kivan Sheichnas Rishon Roisha Berube, once the first guy gets his head and the majority of his body, Zacha Bechalkoi Mazakas Achiv Imoy. He's Zacha in his cheilev, and his brothers then get his cheilev. Maybe not his cheilev, they also get to be part of that animal. All right. So now what does this mean? And if you say the base of us is daraisa, al bisrakoi umazakile, right? What's he doing? He's making his brothers be part of the chabura when it's already shechted umazakile. So Ella lamalhu damar lanavuan. Meaning no. So must be the father included them already before. So why is he making this contest? Right? He's only making a game in order to get his kids b'mitzvah. Now, obviously, you have to say this Gemara, even though it doesn't say it. But Tosfos says this Gemara is talking about ketanim. It doesn't say anywhere ketanim in the Gemara. Right? Just for another confusion. Right? It says it says banav. I thought that it's talking about adult kids. Right? Tosfos says, for whatever reason, Tosfos says it, but Tosfos says it's talking about minors, that we say, right? So you see that they're automatic, they don't need to be included, right? Or they're automatically included from the father, or they don't even need to be included. So that's why this brother that makes it first to yerushalyim also includes his siblings who are less than bar mitzvah, or maybe he's less than bar mitzvah, whatever it is. Right? This is something that would happen bisman hazeh. The daughters made it, and if nowadays you put all the kids up to it, the women are making it to the yerushalyim first before the boys. They're gonna leave Sukkot time, right? What's the joke they say? If women had to buy lulav and esrog, and men had to make pesach, they both start erev pesach, right? so let's say it was a story that the daughters got there first. The nimtzu, but not banos rizos, so banim shvalim. And that means the daughters was rizos, and the banim were shvalim. They were shafal, means low, right? But it doesn't say that the banos were zoifas and the sons were not zoifas. It just says that the women made it first.
It's
okay,
same letters as shlufen.
Very good. Aaron says it's shlufen. You changed that shlufen. Okay, that's good. But anyway, so the Gemara is saying, yeah, okay, the girls made it, very nice, but it doesn't change the din. Meaning everybody was included already in this korban pesach. Fine. Okay. Then we get pattur as truma sub. So then we said the kohen. Not the kohen, I'm sorry. You can bring the truma. If a guy, he's not allowed to get hana from his friend because his friend made a neder on him, or he made a neder on his friend, whatever it is, he's not allowed to give hana to his friend. So he's allowed to bring truma on his behalf. So first the Gemara asks a sheilev, and then it's obvious that our Mishnah will answer the sheilev. It's interesting. It seems to do that in the Nedarim, right? It asks the sheilev when the Mishnah already answered the sheilev. The Mishnah said you are allowed to give truma on the guy's behalf, even if you're not allowed to give him any hana. Right? But they're going to ask that as a question. Okay. Somebody takes truma from his own onto his friends, meaning he. See, that's the important point here. There's two ways that somebody can separate truma. I could either go to my friend's farm and take his truma, or that's not the case here. Here the case is, the case won't work because you're going into his house and you're taking his stuff. Here we're talking about where I'm giving my vegetables on behalf of this other guy's vegetables. Right? So I'm mamish donating vegetables to him.
How does that work?
I'm saying it's you're gonna say his whatever 100 apples, and I'm giving 2 apples, right? Let's say I give Bainani
from his. So, but
I'm giving my 2 apples. So I'm basically giving him my 2 apples.
You're chulin apples, yeah.
And I'm making them into truma for his, and now he could eat.
You can cover that way.
That's what Gemara's. Well, that's what Gemara's asking, right? So if somebody gives truma from his own stuff on his friends, does he need the das or not? Meaning the guy that owns the farm, let's call it that, does he need to give his permission or not? So what's this all based on? Right? It's what's the loss? Right? Am I allowed to be zoich on somebody shaloi b'fanav? Right? So mi amrina, the Gemara continues. Mi amrina kiven the schusulai like tzarich das. Since it's a schus for him, what does he need das for? Right? If I woke up in the morning and somebody brought all my truma for me, because I'm not going to cry.
What is?
Why, you don't want the mitzvah?
I said I'm not such an erlicha guy. What should I tell you?
What is
Some people might care.
You didn't give
it.
The other guy,
Right.
but doesn't.
So I give one chita for you, It didn't cost me anything.
No,
I had no shear, so it didn't cost me my neder. It's less than a shear. It's nothing.
What's the mitzvah?
And it's hard to know. Who says he gave me 46 bushels?
I'm saying, what's the
He
difference
gave
though?
one
But-
chita. He gave one chita.
yeah, good. So let's say he did, but I'm the one benefiting. So why would I turn that down? Unless the
I'm
only
not
other
saying
side-
you should turn it down. There's no reason to
Well,
turn
what-
it down, but the benefit is only a halachic benefit. It's a religious benefit. It's not a physical benefit.
True, that's
one
true.
piece,
No.
one piece of wheat.
No, it's not true. He's saving,
No, but
he's saving the money.
Well,
He's technically
he-
saving.
not
he's
saving the money.
50%.
Aaron,
He saved the
He has
time.
100 out
It
of
costs
100.
less
he's
than
saying,
a-
Rabbi, he's saying
It
that you
costs
could
less
just take
than a
off a
pruta.
mushroom.
It costs less than a pruta.
Right.
Right.
Well, if you see them, how much the women take off when they do a fresh challah, you see, right? They only have to take off a little, but they manage to take off a good chunk, right? I don't know how much you take off, but okay.
Yeah, a little bit.
They take off a bilkula.
I'm sure you take off a lot.
They
less.
take off a bilkula.
It's true. It's true. A Rebbe Shachala they
I
take
think
off.
it'll probably like
But
less than
anyway.
a bay, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Saying that
Anyways.
access to his crops is only toivus hana. It's not a real hana.
No, I don't know.
His crops.
No, but he said the shilas was his
They were
physical.
tevel. Now they're mutter.
Right. So he really, it's as if he now went from not being able to eat his vegetables to being able to eat his vegetables. Yeah, I hear that. Either way, so what's the shilah? Me over here, keeping the schus uloi light das. Right? So this is a schus for him, so he doesn't need das. Like a mitzvah delay. It's his mitzvah. He wants to do the mitzvah. Right? So that's the shilah. So Tashima, obviously our Mishnah answered it. Tashima, Torah mes chumasav, best masrois of ladaitoi. Right? Well, actually, it's not. He says ladaitoi. Right? We said in the Mishnah yesterday, we didn't know what the word ladaitoi means. So now the Gemara is going to discuss it. He said you're allowed to give the truma and meiser on behalf of the guy that you're not allowed to give benefit. Ladaitoi. Whose das? Does ladaitoi mean the das of the guy you're giving it for, or does it mean your own das? Meaning, b'mayaskina, what are we talking about? Ilema min bal hakri al shal bal hakri. Are we talking about where the guy took truma from the owner? The bal hakri is the owner of the pile, let's say, meaning the farm owner. You're taking the truma from him, right? Uladaitai and with his das. Uladaitai the man, I'm sorry. And so then with whose das are we talking about? Ilem uladaitai delay. If it's the das, meaning his own das. Right? Man shav yishliach. Meaning if the guy taking off the truma, going into his friend's yard and taking the stuff, and he's doing it all on his own, who made you a shliach to do that? So how can you say that you can go into my field and take those two? Maybe the 2 apples you took, I'm just embellishing it a little bit. Maybe the 2 apples you took to give the kayin, I wanted those 2 apples. I want to take it to different apples, right? The balakri, it must be when it says that he could do it with the das of the owner of the pile. If that's the case, then you're giving him hana to cover shlichusay. You're doing his shlichus. He made you a shliach. Meaning, if you did it on your own, okay, so then maybe that's not called giving him benefit. But if he made you the shliach, so then that's called getting benefit. So it can't be that case. It must be, like we said before, it's talking about where the guy is giving his own vegetables, own fruits, on behalf of his friend. So he's giving a donation to his friend. Okay, so now whose das are we talking about? If you're saying that he did it with the das of the balakri, then he's getting hana because he did it with the das of the balakri. He did it totally on his own. He went and he took his 2 apples and he was he gave it to a kohen on behalf of his friend who he's not allowed to give hana to. Right? And he's taking from his own and he's giving truma on behalf of his friend. But if you say that it needs das, then you are giving him hana because he needs das, right? Again, this whole shiloh was, do you need, if you're giving the truma on behalf of your friend and you're giving the fruits and the vegetables, do you still need the das? So elalav ain't tzarich. It must be that you don't need das because if you have his das, then you're giving him hana. He made you the shliach. Well, that's what we're saying. So ladaite must be his own das. He did it on his own das. You know what I'm saying? He did it on his own. Ladaite means he did it on his own.
Take care of Trumas Mice and metzora completely. They didn't need das.
What do you mean?
The one rug can take it for everything.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah. I don't know how we cost them practically. I don't know. It'd be very convenient, right? If you could just get one guy sits in his living room and says, "Okay, I took care of the whole thing." Yeah, yeah. That would be
It has
good.
to be in a crate.
Yeah.
Oh, so anyway, so that's what the Gemara is thinking. So from our Mishnah, yeah. Somebody actually just asked me to give a hashkacha for Hanukkah. They have a Hanukkah thing going out of the house. If I can give a hashkacha, I said, I don't know anything about hashkacha. I said, how can I go? So I'm going to go into the house, and then what happens if she has lard hiding under her bed?
Parrots, that wasn't nice.
I should have sent it to parrots. Maybe I should. I thought about it.
That was not nice. You could have given the guy a panosa like that a little bit.
Yeah. So whatever. I don't know how you go give hashkach in somebody's house. How do you know what's hiding under the bed or in the closets or whatever? Anyways, so again, so we have a raya from our Mishnah that you can give truma on behalf of somebody else without their das. My answer is la'ilam Michel, the Oilam Michel Bal Hakri, Al Bal Hakri. No, we're talking about where you're using the guy's own vegetables, right? You're separating on his behalf with his vegetables. The guy announced, right? David, this guy is really not interested in doing the mitzvah. He gives a big announcement. Whoever wants to come take the truma on my behalf takes the truma, right? So Hachanami Baiman here too, we're talking about where the guy just gave an announcement. He said, whoever wants to take truma, take truma, right? So since that's not a direct request from the guy to take the truma for him, that's not called getting hana, and therefore that would be the case. But and a Hanami, we don't have any raya specifically on our Mishnah, because our Mishnah is talking about in this specific case. But otherwise, you would need a guy to give you the das. At least that's what the Gemara is thinking right now. Right? Fine. So then the Gemara asks, another shayla. If you give truma from your own, meaning same scenario. You're giving the 2 apples on behalf of your friend's 100 apples. Right? So now there's something called toivas hana. Toivas hana is basically, if you have an einikel, that's the common case. You have an einikel, each one has einikel. They're both Yisraelim, right? They got to give the truma. Each one has an einikel who's a kohen. Right? So the Zayda wants to be Mahana. Each Zayda wants to be Mahana, their einikel. So the guy giving the 2 apples says, hey, it's my apples. So I'll give it to my einikel. Right? Now they can't pay for it, the kohen. It's only sort of like, unter den Tisch, you scratch my back, I'll scratch you, whatever the kickback is. I don't know what it's Toivas Hana. Toivas Hana is kickback. I don't know if that's the right taich, but that's essentially what's going on here. So the guy giving the 2 apples says, it's my apples, I'll give it to whoever I want. And the guy who's on whose behalf the apples are being given says, hey, the truma is for me, so it should go to my guy. All right, so that's the shayla. So who gets a toivas hana? If it wouldn't be for his payrus, meaning the guy who's giving the 2 apples, using our example, would it even fix? He wouldn't even be fixing that guy's pile, right? So therefore, the guy separating it is the one that should get the toivas hana.
It would make sense that the guy who pays for it calls the shots.
That's right. Well, that's that side. You would think, right? I'm the one doing the whole work, and it's my fruit. Dilma, you could say the other way. Ilav dahu. If it wouldn't be for that guy's pile, it wouldn't even have been truma. The guy who owns the farm, the pile, says to the guy, well, you gave him 2 apples. They're only truma because it was given on my fruits. If it wouldn't be given on my fruits, so then it's not even truma. Right? So those are the 2 tzaddim to the shayla. So Amar Kroi said, no, the passuk says, es kol tfuas aracha v'nosata. It says, and this is sort of like, I'm not sure what this limud is, a hekesh? I don't even think it's a hekesh. It basically says in the other passuk, it says, es kol tfuas aracha, give all the tfuah that you planted. That's talking about being paida. So we're saying that it's tfuah zaracha, the tfuah of what you planted, vinosata. So meaning it's going on the person whose tvua it was. So therefore, not like you. But that's meanwhile.
Right. I was thinking that the pasuk
But
would
that's
be different.
that's what the pasuk is saying. So when I ask on that Esvei, Tyrim is trumasa, best masoros of Ladaitoi, right from our Mishnah. Our Mishnah says that he can give truma and meiser according to his das. And if you say that the toivas anod goes to the guy who owns the pile, hakamahani, right? That's giving hana. Elishmami not toivas anod delay. Must be that the toivas anod goes to the guy separating. Meaning, in our case of our Mishnah, we said that the guy has a neder, so he can't give this guy benefit. So we're saying he's allowed to give off truvas and meiser, right? But if the toivas anod goes to the person who owns the farm, then you're giving him toivas anod, right? Meaning this kohen, you're giving it to whichever kohen the owner of the farm wants to give it to. So now you just gave him hana, right? Must be the hana goes to the guy separating the truma. Otherwise, he would not be able to separate truma on behalf of the guy. He's not allowed to give this guy hana, right? Again,
the outside part, he should get the tovas.
Yes, yeah, like you were saying. Right? Using the example, Naphtali went and said, Naphtali has an Isser hana onto me, so he's not allowed to give me any benefit. So then he went and separated truma for me. Right? If I'm the one that gets the toivas hana, so now Naphtali just got me toivas hana from whichever kohen he gives it to. The kohen is going to give. I mean, he's going to give it to the kohen that I want him to give it to. So then he just gave me toivas hana. So elamai, it must be that Naphtali gets the toivas hana, and therefore he's allowed to take the trumas off of me. So the Gemara says, no, that's not a kasha. Amri loy, no. Mishal balakri al shal balakri. It's talking about when it was the Baal Hakri's vegetables from the Baal Hakri's pile. We just said this teretz, right? Uladaitli the Baal Hakri, and we're talking about where he did it with the permission of the Baal Hakri of the farm. So but then he's a shliach and he's giving him hana. It's talking about where he told everybody, he put an ad in the paper, whoever wants to give truma should give truma, right? But so anybody that does it is not called a direct hana because the guy didn't care for
the neighbor for the hammer to the right or to the left.
Oh, right. No, well, you see from this, and that's the same thing as yesterday's. What we said in yesterday's daf. We said in yesterday's daf, you make a neder against the guy that you're not going to let him eat that loaf of bread, right? So he said, we has a machlokes if you give him the loaf of bread, if he's allowed to eat it or not, because it was only usher when it was in my reshus. But we said, according to all opinions, if I give it to a third party who then gives that loaf of bread to him, then he's allowed to get it, right? So it seems like when it involves a third party, that's not called a direct hana. Since it's not called a direct hana, so therefore it's okay. So same thing here. The guy announced, everybody want to give truma for me. So if that's the case, anybody gives truma, this guy himself is not specifically the one that's directly giving him the hana. So therefore it's okay. Now the Gemara says, Fakir, Toshima, Domer Rabavo, Amar Rav Yochanan, Hamaktish, somebody, so this is another I would add this to my list of confusions of Yiddishkeit, but I don't know, it's kodshim. So basically you have a guy who needs to cheilev to bring a korban. And then somebody brings the korban on his behalf, and he donates like using our example, I have to bring a korban, and Naphtali goes and gets an animal, brings the korban for me. Now that korban gets a mum, right? So now you have to be paid it. But when you paid an animal, you have to add on a fifth. So it's my avera, so that's why the korban has to be brought. And Naphtali paid for the animal. So who has to add the fifth, me or Naphtali? Right?
Once I started, I got to finish.
Okay, so you know what happens? It's split, right? Because you have two options. Either you can be paid. What happens if you do tmura? Tmura means you swap it out. So it's split. So Rabbi Yochanan says, "Hamaktish," the one who made the animal hektish, which in this case would be Naphtali. Ma'aseh chaimish, he has to add the fifth, right? U'mischaper oisa tmura. But if Naphtali just swaps it out with another animal, which you're not allowed to do, so that's tmura, that doesn't count. It's not considered tmura. It's only if I, meaning the one that needs the kapara does it, he's the one that needs to.
So he could do
to make it
tmura for free?
So no, you can't do tmura. And
No,
if you do it both,
Naphtali,
I don't think it will take effect. I don't think it's even going to take effect if Naftali does it. It's
He
not
can't
within his
swap it
control.
out?
Correct. He could be paid it, but he can't.
So what happens with the mum animal?
The mum once it has a mum, so if you paid it, good, but tomorrow you can't.
Tomorrow you lose both.
Tomorrow you lose both. Both retain the kedusha.
But do you have to be paida? So, or
You mean if it has a
use
mum
second
and a
animal?
tomorrow? There's
Yeah.
one of them. I'm not sure.
Do you get
I'm
to
not
use a
sure.
second animal and go home?
What?
Do you get to use a second animal?
No, maybe
No,
let
you
it go.
Look, see, Yaakov.
Right.
Why-
Or you
what-
go,
what-
or it has to be yerushalyim
You
What
can't
stuff.
is
use a second
that?
animal?
You can't use the second. You can't. Both are hektish. But
Or
as
you can use a second animal for the korban?
The second one, yeah.
Which
We
is
had
the
a
second
machlekes in pesach
You
would
have
have
an
a second
animal that
animal.
got a mum.
The
So now
swap
you
out,
did
the new one.
tomorrow. You did it tomorrow. Could you take this? The tomorrow you lose both. They're both animals that are hektish. You can't take the first one because it's
Right.
Because you got a
there's a
mum.
mum. Could you take the second one, use that for the korban, and then go home?
yeah, that's what.
Seems-
Yes, but you're not supposed to do it as a tamura. You're supposed to do it as just a pigeon. So you have to do the pigeon. You pay the extra fifth.
Correct.
But if you're doing a tamura, if you do tamura, it doesn't work.
But if you do
Only if
tomorrow,
I do tamura.
And then you can
What
use the
is-
second animal.
No, you cannot use the
But if
second
you do
animal.
Why
the
can't you use the
pigeon,
second
Because
animal?
second animal by tamura, both of them have their kedusha.
And
why
you
can't
save
you
money.
use the second
right?
one?
If you do the pigeon, then you save money.
You do the
At least
pigeon.
you get the animal.
Correct. That's true.
Both have kedusha, so why can't you use the second one? There's no
You
mum.
can't. No. What?
Why can't you use the second one that has a kedusha?
I mean, the second one has to goes to
It's the korban.
It's a
No,
It's a
that's-
lav.
Why can't
It's
you
a
use it
lav.
for the korban?
You do use it.
you do. You have to use it for the car. I thought you said use it for yourself.
No.
Use it for the car,
korban.
of course.
So
Yeah.
you don't have to. So if you do tomorrow, the first one. What do you do with the first one?
Send it out
As a
to
year
pasture.
out your stuff?
You just let it go and that's it.
No, you'd have to be paid it still. I think. Okay, we're not learning Tamura now, which is a good thing because I have no idea what I'm talking about. Right?
See,
But
Yaakov, let me-
yeah.
What does it mean somebody brings a korban for somebody else? What does he do? How does he bring a chatas for somebody else?
I'm sitting in my bed. I'm watching the ball game.
Right.
And I did a chatas. I ate cheilev in my
Right.
sandwich, right? I ate cheilev in my sandwich. I need a chatas. So I'm not going to Yerushalyim. Now I call my friend in Yerushalayim and say,
Right.
hey, do me a favor, bring the chatas.
He says the vidui on the korban too on the.
All right, Rabbi, who bought the
I don't know,
ears for the
Tucker.
three
Well,
leopards?
I don't know.
The
Who
case
does
you
the
gave
video?
earlier, it's like there was no das.
No, that was
Here,
if he
you called him up
voluntarily
and you
did it.
asked him to do
He
right.
was voluntarily did it.
You asked him to do
No, but
it.
here we're not talking about that case anymore. Or it could even be that case. Either way. He's doing
You
it.
asked him to do it, then maybe
I don't know,
everything's on
Taco.
you.
Who does the video? Hey, they do it on Zoom. I don't know. I don't know. Who does the video? Mustame, why can you do a video?
Byron, it's gonna be a big business.
Yeah, but you could do it off the I would think you could be a shliach to do a video. I don't know.
But he
I don't
wasn't
know.
a shliach. The guy, the way I'm understanding the whole lumber, it's the guy didn't know the other person was.
No,
doing
this
it
is
to
not. We're
him.
not talking about that case. We're not talking about. I think it's all cases. Aaron Zweig also thinks that it's talking about where he didn't do the das. I think we're done with that sugya. Now we're talking about even if he did it out with das, right? Even if he did it, that's what Rabbi Yochanan is saying, that it's confusing. So if the guy he's bringing the korban on my behalf, but he paid for the korban. So if it comes puzzle and he has to be paid it, that money's got to come out of Naphtali. The chaimish, the fifth that you have to add, comes from Naphtali. But he does not have the power to make it into Tmura. Only the one that's getting the kapara has that. Because however, what the pshat is, I don't know. But that's what it is. Pattur mission. Then he finishes off. That's what has to do with our sugya. Pattur mishaloi al she'ein shaloi, and somebody who gives truma from his own vegetables or fruits on behalf of his friend, toivas hana shaloi, he gets the toivas hana, meaning the guy giving the 2 apples, using our example, he's the one that gets the toivas hana, not the guy that owns the whole farm of all the vegetables. Right?
The payer.
What?
The payer.
He just gets it.
The payer is the one that gets the toivas hana, correct, and the other guy just stays home and gets to eat his. So you see, Rabbi Yochanan clearly is paskening that the toivas hana goes towards the.
I mean, the second
Yeah.
guy also gets a tovas hana in the fact that he now can eat 100 out of 100.
Yeah, but he doesn't get the toivas hana from whichever coin. He doesn't have a
Right,
choice.
he doesn't
which
get
coin.
that benefit.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll stop here, and tomorrow night's daf is actually a regular sized daf, maybe even a little longer. But
The next
yeah.
few.
What?
I think the next few are. Though.
Yeah, but it's a gadata, so it's a gadata.
That'd be
It's
easy.
Ishmak. Tomorrow's
That's
daf. Believe neder. I don't believe neder, but it's Ishmak. I never say believe neder. Why am I saying believe neder? It's Ishmak. Whether I think it's well, it is what it is.
No,
right? That's right. But it might go overtime. That's what I'm saying. That's all. All right.
Thursday night.
Have
We
yourself
used to
a
do
fun.
it around the half
Reminder.
Yes, you reminded. Yes, I got the reminder.
Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah.
Icky.
I'm
What?
here. I'm here. Your neighbor's making a wedding.
Hey, what's happening?
Oh, that's
Yeah, I'm going.
Who's making the wedding tomorrow?
Well, you know what? Last night it took me a little longer. I was home at 11:30. I left here after the year. I was back
Who's
11:30.
making a wedding tomorrow?
You notice you're going viral lately? You're getting a lot of views.
Oh, the one from Aaron's wedding? Still going around?
No.
What now?
What was this? This is today's what? Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, Sunday, 216 views.
Of what?
Of the that.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah, that's what's
Wow.
the job. Oh,
Picking up
who's wedding
fans.
tomorrow? Who's that?
yeah, I got a wedding tomorrow, but I see the chuppah's at 7.
Whose wedding, Jacob?
Steg, you know Steg? They live diagonally behind me.
Yeah. Oh, that's tomorrow night?
Yeah.
Where's that? In Lakewood?
No, believe it or not, in Brooklyn.
What time is that?
7 is the chuppah. So I bet wouldn't go out to myself, but I am the
Gotta go
chauffeur.
to Miriam, no?
I'm the chauffeur for my wife, so Mamela.
So you're giving it down from here, you're not giving it from here.
L'chayra should be from here.
You'll be back by 8:30? No.
Why not?
You're gonna
I'm
go
gonna
after?
pop in there and say hello, and then I'm running out. Right? Not